At a time when some voices are calling for unity in the wake of the horrible shooting of GOP Congressman Steve Scalise and 4 others at a baseball practice in Virginia, the New York Times goes in the other direction. The Times editorial page yesterday published an egregious and embarrassing piece of political rhetoric that I just find appalling, and on top of everything else, it was wrong. I mean, here we have a situation in which the guy from Illinois who opened fire on the baseball field, there's no question about it. He hated Trump. He despised the Republicans. He loved Rachel Maddow. He was a Bernie Sanders volunteer. And as I've been saying and writing, none of that should matter. It's not Bernie Sanders' fault. It's not Rachel Maddow's fault. It's not the fault of even the most caustic liberal rhetoric. It's this guy's fault. The idea that he would even show up and start shooting at innocent people. It's appalling. It's sickening. So what does the New York Times do? It reaches back to another case when the nation was grieving. This was 6 years ago when a crazy gunman, Jared Lochner, opened fire at a Tucson shopping center, killing 6 people and badly wounding then Democratic Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. And what the Times did is it resurrected a theory of the case that was totally invalid at the time and seems even more ludicrous in retrospect. Let me read to you from the Times editorial. It said that in the shooting of Gabby Giffords and others, there was a link to political incitement that was clear. What was that link? It was that before the shooting, Sarah Palin's Political Action Committee had circulated a map of targeted electoral districts that put Ms. Giffords and 19 other Democratic candidates under crosshairs, which I didn't think was a good idea at the time. The paper goes on to say, well, you know, conservatives and right-wing media are now attacking the left in the shooting of Scalise and the others in Virginia. Though there's no sign of incitement as direct as in the Giffords attack. So it was incited by Sarah Palin. Except that's complete and total BS. And the Times' own reporting back 6 years ago shows that Lochner was crazy. He was delusional. He didn't really have any fixed political views. He'd been obsessed with Gabby Giffords for years. And the idea that, you know, this one map should tie the former governor of Alaska to this horrendous crime is just sickening. Well, hours later, as the criticism mounted, New York Times ran a correction. The editorial page saying an earlier version incorrectly stated that a link existed between political incitement and the 2011 shooting of Representative Gabby Giffords. In fact, no such link was established. Yes, right. And so how irresponsible was it to resurrect that when your own paper's reporting and lots of other reporting showed there was no link? I mean, it wasn't even, you know, it was a political map. The kind of stuff that's churned out day after day after day. Sarah Palin saying yesterday that she might even be considering legal action against the Times. But more than anything else, getting it wrong, sticking to this tendentious theory, it was tone deaf. It was tone deaf at a time when Steve Scalise was still in critical condition, when the country was grieving, when despite the fact that there has been all too much partisan finger pointing on the left and the right, many others, President Trump, Paul Ryan, even briefly Nancy Pelosi, although she reverted to an attack on Fox News, are all trying to say, you know, we're in this together. That an attack on a bunch of Republican congressmen is an attack on all the Congress. It's an attack on all Americans. And I'm just really, really disappointed in the New York Times for going there and then being forced to correct what was just a horrible lapse in judgment.